So, if you were to just... So you're trying to take away the space from your girlfriend. We have one opportunity to have two women be the star of the show, and you decide with your male privilege that you just want to walk over here and insert yourself where you are not invited.
Sorry.
And there you have it.
And scene. That's being a feminist killjoy.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to Let's Get Cereal, the weekly show where I, your host, Alyssa Marino, eat cereal, talk about stuff, and sometimes talk to people. I have a wonderful people with me today.
Hello.
Sawyer Wreck. What a gal, I'll tell you. So, I'm gonna pour our cereal because we have a very special cereal for today, and then we're gonna get a little bit more into Sawyer Wreck. But for today's cereal, drum roll, please. Bar, and it's peanut butter chocolate chip. We have the possibility of apple pie, but Sawyer nixed that. Would you care to tell everyone why you nixed the apple pie cereal?
So, I don't know if you guys heard about this one beverage called Fireball. It's of the devil, and things that resemble that with said maybe like an apple cider to mix with that drink, right? Gives me a little bit of PTSD flashbacks, so I care about this, and wow, why would I deny the opportunity for peanut butter chocolate chip?
I have good feelings about this, and you know what? We don't even want to tempt that apple pie. Get out of here.
It was, college is hard.
You know what?
Just really happy to be present in the moment and not really look back on things.
Well, you know what? We're happy to have you here on Let's Get Cereal. So
Safe
let's do this.
That is some good old chunks.
It is chunky. Hello. I love
some big boys in there.
I like this. Let's see. Okay. Wow. I'm gonna win in straight with my hands.
Yeah, I was trying to be all like fancy with it, influencer. Oh wait, we did the influencer hand.
Oh, look at that. I wish I had done my nails. Ugh.
Oh yeah, no, I just came from work. There's like dirt on me. I probably shouldn't be touching cereal.
For what you do, though, I feel like touching cereal with your bare hands is probably like the least of all badness.
No, that's fair. You really took that one back in this perspective for me.
You're welcome. Say Quinn.
Quinn.
Delightful.
Nice little layer on top, so you're soaking.
I feel like this is almost like granola-y, so we have to give it that extra little bit of minute.
It's promising how much peanut butter is involved in it. It looks like a good amount is holding it.
It really does. Okay, so my friends at home, and Sawyer Wreck, let's get cereal. Okay. There's a good crunch. Good crunch.
Solid crunch. I feel like I'm eating a granola bar.
But not one of the Nature Valley ones that like sprinkles all over your lap as soon as you open the pack.
No, this is very contained. A lot of control over this. I like it.
This is really nice.
Wow.
Okay, so as we had kind of hinted at about you touching cereal with your bare hands not being like the worst of all things I've seen you do, the first time that Sawyer and I met was actually before a No Peace Underground show at the Sound Bar in Orlando. And you were just so bright and so chipper and so cheery, so sweet. And then I see you, I want to say coming to the ring, but there's no ring, and just smash a bunch of light tubes onto another individual. And the funny part was, you were still pretty much smiling and happy and just giddy, downright giddy. So tell me about the what got you into death matches and what makes you so happy about them? That's a lot.
That was a good question. That was a good one. And I usually have a not so kind answer of like, childhood trauma, but that's my answer for getting into wrestling in general. As a giggle, we giggle about those things. So I started watching deathmatch wrestling when I was in about 6th or 7th grade. I watched a Masada match, and I
Game over.
what little 7th grader isn't gonna like devote their personality to a whole genre after watching a Masada match, you know? Like,
How do you go from a little kid watching death matches to then, hey, I'm actually going to start training to wrestle?
you go to college
Okay.
for half a semester
Sick.
because that's, you know, social construct of what you're supposed to do.
But then you discover Fireball at college, and then you can't eat apple pie.
I can't eat apple pie cereal anymore, so the moral of the story in this episode is don't go to college.
Education is where you find it.
I'm really sorry, Mom. And then you go to an indie show because you love watching independent wrestling and all of that, and you see a flyer for a wrestling school, and then you go, oh, I guess people do learn how to do that, and people can do that.
Yeah.
Because that's not really a thought that crosses your mind at first. You just go, probably just like bred in a factory, and that's where wrestlers come from.
They're constructed, not made.
Right. Like you're bred for it. You're not like, I like wrestling, so I'm gonna go be a wrestler. That was not my mindset until I saw this flyer. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do that. And then like light bulb, find schools.
Now, how does it transition from like, hey, because I'm sure you're not learning how to be in a death match in a traditional wrestling academy.
Sure. I mean, I went to the Devon Dudley's school, so
okay.
So maybe I don't know if he wants me to put that as an endorsement for death matches.
But I mean, consider the source a little bit more.
Considering Devon and Bubba trained me,
a little more extreme.
I don't know.
A little more hardcore. It's a slippery slope. We'll say that. It's a slippery slope into the world of death matches. When we first met, you were actually very helpful, because I'm not someone that's well-versed in the world of death matches. And you were actually so kind. You took the time to explain to me what certain things were. I believe one was a gusset something.
Yeah, I'm really impressed that you remembered that one.
So I'm very always impressed with just how off the wall some of these contraptions are. What would you say? Maybe it's not a match that you have been personally involved in, but what's been the most maybe creative appliance, contraption, thing that you've actually seen in a death match? You can take time. You can take time to ponder. This is why I do the cereal, so you have time to think and eat and chill.
Wow.
This is really enjoyable, right?
It's like getting better now that the milk is like,
It definitely softens it a little bit more.
and like the peanut butter is just a little bit more.
We can come back to this. Give it some time. Because you know what happens too? You're a wrestler. You know this. Maybe you need time to process something. And then it'll like pop back out at you. I know Andy will like just kind of forget something and then it's like, oh wait, no, there it is.
Like 2 days later.
I mean, maybe. You can text me while I'm editing this. I'll be like, hey, so Sawyer said it's actually... Obviously, we first met through a deathmatch show. But let's leave a little bit of wrestling behind us because there are so many other fun things about Sawyer. For instance, you have been called Feminist Killjoy. I want to know what being a Feminist Killjoy means to Sawyer Wreck.
To get Andy in the picture, we could probably do a live example. So, if you were to just... So you're trying to take away the space from your girlfriend. We have one opportunity to have 2 women be the star of the show, and you decide with your male privilege that you just want to walk over here and insert yourself where you are not invited.
Sorry.
And there you have
And
it.
scene. That's being a feminist killjoy.
Excellent. I love that. Okay. So what do you think are some ways that maybe anyone, any old so-and-so, can add a little bit of feminist killjoy into their daily lives?
Well, some of my personal favorite ways is to simply not smile at men in public. There is nothing quite like the response of a man when you walk by completely unbothered by their existence. You gotta be careful, because if they get too upset, they might. But, you know, live on the edge a little bit. It's fun.
From Sawyer Wreck, live on the edge. So
You know?
this is fully endorsed by someone that does live on the edge.
Right. So probably with a grain of salt, you should take my suggestions.
Okay, fair enough. So the whole not smiling, and I love too the idea of not smiling when it's asked of you, especially
Especially if somebody asks. Oh my goodness. This is why I'll always endorse wearing a mask, because just walking around like this, I would say that no man like bothered me, but in the very beginning I had this cute little bumblebee mask.
Ooh,
It was a mistake on my part. I know, to enjoy things.
how dare you?
And a man, Andy, I said a man.
I heard you.
Okay, just making sure you heard me. Said, bet she got a real nice smile under that mask. So I got a new mask to set off.
Great. Lesson learned. Before you got into wrestling, do you feel like there was part of you that still had this kind of maybe thrill-seeking, live on the edge nature? Or do you feel like you were like pretty tame before you started entering the ring? Or the no ring?
Did I tell you about the fireball?
Yes, you did.
All right then.
Did the fireball probably infuse some not great decisions?
People who've got their together don't drink fireball.
Loaded statement. We talked about the things that make Sawyer Wreck. And I think that one of the things about cereal to me is that it's very nostalgic. What were some of maybe your favorite cereals or cereals that were special to you growing up?
So, this is a big one.
Okay.
Because growing up in a cult is funny for exactly 4 reasons. And one of them is when people ask you about your childhood and you get to answer these questions that should be really like, super fun, lighthearted, with like a therapy session. So some cereals that were special to me were Lucky Charms, especially.
Ooh.
Because for 11 months and 3 weeks out of the year, we had Rice Krispies or Corn Flakes. Not
Very
Frosted
plain.
Flakes. That is an important distinguisher. It's Frosted Flakes, Corn Flakes. You know,
It's not. No frills, no fun.
and that was it. That's the important
That's
theme
the
here.
important thing is no fun.
There was no sugar added. So, whenever my mother, shout out to the mom, was feeling, I don't want to say frisky, because like saying frisky about my mom does not.
Feeling fun? Feeling
Fun!
Yeah, okay.
We would get a sugary cereal, and it was usually like Lucky Charms, because it still looks a little plain, but like,
But like heart stars and horseshoes.
Right,
Globes and
right,
blues.
yeah.
Okay. Well, and that's actually very interesting. So to go from something that was kind of like constrained to then being like, hey, I am free to do whatever the hell I want. Watch me do it. Kudos to you, my friend.
oh shucks.
Honestly, so impressive. And I think just such an interesting journey. Interesting is probably putting it lightly.
It makes me feel better about the journey if we just call it interesting.
Fair enough. We'll stick to interesting. So, obviously, we're coming to the end of our bowl of cereal. I want to know, what's next for Sawyer Wreck? What do you have coming up? What do we have to promote? What are some of the exciting things?
So, next things that we're real excited for, coming up in October, keep an eye out because Mayhem on Mills will be returning to Orlando. So we're real excited about that one because I have some unfinished business with a lot of men. at this show, including but not limited to Snoop Strikes, Hunter Law, and Troy Hollywood. So it's just gonna be a fun little you fest. I don't know.
A friendly little beatdown.
A fun little, who knows? May bring some weapons.
I mean, if anyone's gonna bring them, it's gonna be you.
It's gonna be me. I mean, could you imagine?
I mean, like, imagine if they did. Like, how tacky. They'll show up with the same weapons.
Oh my gosh.
Is it even possible? At a deathmatch situation that someone shows up with, like, the same inventive weapon? I mean, obviously, like, your doors, your light tubes, your, tacks. Pretty rudimentary stuff, but
Sure.
as far as when you get more creative, I feel like if two people do have the same unique idea, then, like, then it's meant to be. Well, my friend, this has been a lovely, informative, and very different episode of Let's Get Serial. So I very much thank you for your incredible insight.
You're welcome. I appreciate the bowl.
You're welcome.
Everything to me.
I'll let you finish because you were talking more than I was, but my friends, bottoms up.
I like the peanut butter taste that it left in there.
It's pretty
It
nice.
was nice.
Very nice. Keep your eyes peeled for more Sawyer Wreck. We'll drop your social media stuff all over the place so people will be able to find you and see where you'll be next.
Oh my gosh.
So, until next time, my friends, continue to do your best to be your best. And we will see you later.